My name is Rachel. I'm turning 31 this year. I married Jack, who I met through a dating app, but I kept my job and didn't quit. Even though Jack asked me to be a stay-at-home wife after marriage, I didn't want to lose the career I had built, so I refused it. Instead, I ended up living with Jack's parents at his family home. However, Jack's parents were quite difficult. Every time they saw me, they'd ask, "When are you having kids?" It stressed me out a lot. I spent my days letting go of those stresses at work. One day, I had the day off and was doing things around the houses. When Jack came home from being out, bringing a young woman I didn't know and a baby.
This is my new family. You're no longer needed. We're getting a divorce.
Huh? What's that supposed to mean? A new family? Since when did you create a new family? Are you saying you've been cheating on me all this time without me knowing? When I asked, Jack grinned.
Yeah, that's right. It's your fault for not noticing. I kept telling you to quit your job and stay at home, but you were too focused on your career. How could I continue being with someone like that?
What a selfish thing to say. He was barely home himself with all his overtime and work events. I never imagined he'd been cheating. You really think this is okay? This is a huge betrayal. How can you do this without any guilt? My head was spinning, and I couldn't control my voice. Hearing my outburst, Jack's mother, Karen, peeked out from her room and walked to the front door.
Oh, Ashley, what a surprise to see you here. Have you finally decided to become a real part of our family?
I was speechless at Karen's words. You knew about her too, Karen? Karen sighed dramatically, clearly annoyed by my shouting.
What a hassle. It's obvious, right? Why should I have to explain every little thing to you? You might be good at your job, but your instincts are terrible. You didn't even realize Jack was seeing another woman, did you?
Saying that, Karen stood next to Ashley, gently touching the cheek of the baby in her arms.
She's from a good family. She cares about her in-laws, and she's already given us a grandchild. You, on the other hand, are the complete opposite. No children, still working. You're not fit to be Jack's partner or the mother of the next generation of our family.
It felt like someone had grabbed my heart and squeezed. Sure, they'd been pressuring me about kids, but I never thought they resented me this much. And what was this talk about heirs and continuing the family? There was nothing here worth passing down. So you all deceived me, didn't you? When I muttered that, Karen burst into laughter, clutching her stomach. Was my shock really that amusing to her?
What's all this noise? Why are you yelling by the front door?
Right after Karen, Jack's father, Charles, peeked out from his room. He looked drowsy, yawning like he had just woken up.
Oh, Ashley's here. Grandpa's here, little one.
Charles also stood beside Ashley, gazing lovingly at the baby. Wait, does this mean the whole family knew about Ashley? I've been lied to by all of them this whole time. I felt all the strength drain from my body. Why had I been putting up with Karen's stress this whole time? The moment that thought crossed my mind, anger surged up, more than shock. Fine. A divorce, right? I'll agree. But you'd better pay me the alimony you owe. I had no intention of rebuilding this relationship. No energy left to even be mad. But I was going to make sure Jack took responsibility as a husband.
Are you kidding me? Can't you see? Jack's going to be a father now. You wouldn't understand since you've never raised a child, but kids cost money. Get a clue.
It was clear they had no intention of paying me a dime. At this point, I was more astonished than angry.
Besides, Mom already said it. You're the one who didn't notice anything was off with me. And now you're trying to get alimony from me? Are you out of your mind?
Jack chuckled as he said this. So what? You cheated, you had a kid, and now you don't plan to take any responsibility? How could someone like you ever be a decent father? It might have sounded like a desperate plea, but I couldn't hold it in.
You were cheated on because you ignored your family.
Jack shoved the divorce papers toward me. His section was already filled out. Oh, is that so? You never plan to talk it out anyway. Fine, I'll sign it. Happy now? I snatched the divorce papers, filled them out quickly. I threw it aside and bit my lip to keep the tears from falling. I was never really a part of this family to begin with, was I? I mean, I never felt like I fit in here anyway. Honestly, I've been hoping for this divorce myself. At least I won't have to listen to your constant snide comments anymore. As I shouted, Jack and the others smirked.
You're the one who didn't even try to fit in. Stop acting all bitter and just get out now. There's no place for you here anymore.
I rushed to the bedroom, threw my things into my suitcase, and dashed downstairs. In the living room, Jack's parents, Charles and Karen, along with Ashley, were already chatting and laughing together. Without even saying goodbye, I stormed out the front door. I hurried to a business hotel near the station and managed to book a room for an extended stay. After dropping off my suitcase, I collapsed onto the bed, and the tears finally came pouring out. Yeah, maybe I didn't notice his cheating, but come on, this kind of betrayal? What was everything I did for this family even worth? The fact that I only had one suitcase with me from Jack's house just made me cry even harder. As I wiped away my tears, a wave of nausea suddenly hit me, and I rushed to the bathroom. Then it dawned on me. Could it be? I quickly went to a drugstore, bought a pregnancy test, and tried it immediately. The result was clear. I saw 2 bold lines. No way. It has to be that day. The night Jack came home drunk and forced himself on me. We barely had any kind of relationship beyond that, so there's no other explanation. I had been too busy with work to notice, but apparently I was pregnant. After all those years of being taunted for not having kids, I find out I'm pregnant after our divorce. It's too late now. No point in crying over lost time. All I can do is focus on doing my best for the baby. Thinking that, I opened my social media app on my phone. I posted about my divorce, and almost immediately, likes and comments started flooding in. To be honest, about 6 months ago, I had started an anonymous account to vent about Karen's relentless bullying. My follower count had skyrocketed, and now, just posting about the divorce brought in a wave of support from people encouraging me. Even if people call me an attention seeker, this was the only place I had to escape. I justified it to myself as I replied to the comments. The account had become monetized, so I didn't have to worry about money for the time being. Between work, social media, and regular checkups at the hospital, I had almost forgotten all about Jack and the others. One day, when my belly was already quite big, I suddenly got a call from Jack. Oh yeah, he hasn't contacted me in months, and I even forgot to block him. I thought about ignoring it, but then I remembered there were still things like alimony to discuss, so I decided to answer. But I didn't get a chance to speak.
Lend me money. We're struggling.
The first thing Jack yelled when I picked up was complete nonsense. I can't even remember the last time we talked, and you're still the same selfish jerk, struggling and asking me for money? I thought you were calling to discuss the alimony you owe me. Guess I was wrong. I'm hanging up now. I was about to hang up, but Jack quickly stopped me.
Wait, You worked non-stop during our marriage, so you must have money, right? I haven't been able to work properly because of raising my kid. We were family, so you should help out.
His words left me speechless. We were family? What right does he have to say that now? Even if that's true, what does it have to do with me? You're only busy with parenting because you got Ashley pregnant. We're divorced now. Your struggles have nothing to do with me. Why don't you try talking to social services or something? I wanted to hang up, but Jack kept going. I should just hang up. There's no reason to listen to him anymore. Even as I thought that, I found myself listening to Jack's excuses.
Ashley is actually a huge spender. She keeps talking about getting the kid piano lessons, even though it's way too early, and insists all the clothes have to be luxury brand.
Wait, didn't you already know that? I don't know how long you've been together, but you didn't notice that earlier? When I asked him this simple question, Jack raised his voice.
I didn't know. Sure, there were times when she seemed to have plenty of money, but it turns out her dad was helping her out. Now I'm the one who has to pay for everything, and I can't afford to live like some big-time CEO.
Listening to Jack's complaints, I just sighed. I was starting to feel disgusted, thinking maybe he was just showing off.
Come on, Rachel. You've always been good with money. You've got some saved up, right? Just help me out a little, even a bit. I've never asked you for anything before, have I? So I'm begging you now.
It's true, I've always been frugal. I hardly spent any money, as it would be more correct to say I was stingy. But there was no way I was going to give a single cent to an ex, especially one who cheated on me. Even if that's the case, it's not my problem. If anything, you should be paying me alimony. That's what I thought you were calling about. But since you're not offering, I'll get a lawyer and make a claim. And don't ever contact me again. When I said that, Jack yelled in a panic.
Alimony. Are you kidding? I can't pay that. If you pull something like that, I'll go to your job and tell them what a horrible person you are.
Was he so confused that he didn't realize how ridiculous he sounded?
I'll tell them how you barely did anything around the house and didn't even want to have kids. You just married me to control me.
I imagined his face must have been bright red. But for me, it didn't bother me at all. Go ahead and say whatever you want. No one's going to believe you. You know why? Because ever since we got married, I've been talking to people about you and Karen. When I told them I was getting divorced, they were happy for me. They all said, "Finally." Even if Jack tried to expose me, he'd just make himself look bad. He must have realized that because he clicked his tongue in frustration and lowered his tone.
Come on, please. I'm really struggling here. You've never raised a kid, so you don't get it, but it's really hard. Helping out a little wouldn't kill you.
He was trying to appeal to my sympathy, but I had no intention of playing along. Instead, I decided to drop the news I hadn't shared yet. You're right. Turns out being pregnant is harder than I thought. I'm going to be a mom in less than 6 months, so I think I understand how tough it is. Jack fell silent, as if time had stopped. He was probably standing there, wide-eyed and speechless. Which means you'll be paying not just alimony, but also child support. So be ready for that. All right, I'm hanging up now, and don't call me again.
Wait, when did you get pregnant? You never said anything. How can I pay child support when I didn't even know? I just told you I'm struggling. Why do you want to make things worse for me?
I understood what Jack was trying to say. But I had something more important to say. I'm alone because you cheated. You know I don't have any family, right? I don't have anyone to rely on. No one to help me. I'm protecting this baby all by myself. So the least you can do is take responsibility for that. Jack was yelling something like, "Wait," but I ignored him and hung up. I considered blocking his number, but I didn't want him showing up at my workplace, so I decided to leave it for now. After that, I didn't hear from Jack for 6 months and I ended up hiring a lawyer. I got him to agree to pay alimony and child support in installments. I guess this is how life will go from now on. When I reached the final month of my pregnancy, I wasn't feeling well and had to be admitted to the hospital. I'm grateful to be in the hospital. Being alone was starting to feel overwhelming. I hope everything goes smoothly with the delivery. As I lay in my hospital bed, I could hear the woman in the next bed talking on the phone nonstop from morning till night, and it was really getting on my nerves. This is a hospital, right? Why is she being so loud? Maybe I should ask a nurse to move me to another room. It seemed like I was the only one left in this room, so maybe others had already asked to be moved. Just as I was gathering the courage to mention it to the nurse the next morning, the nurse opened the curtain next to me and called out, "Ashley." Did she just say Ashley? No way, that can't be the same Ashley, can it? She already has a small kid. There's no way she's pregnant again, right? Even as I tried to convince myself, my heart was pounding. After my checkup, as I headed to the shop in the hospital, I glanced through the slightly open curtain at the next bed and froze. It was her, Ashley, the same Ashley I'd seen that day. If she recognizes me, things could get messy. I need to avoid her. The day of delivery finally came, and somehow I managed to go unnoticed by her. After the birth, as I held my baby, the nurses waved me off as I left the hospital. When no one was supposed to come for me, Jack and his parents were there.
Well, Rachel, looks like you had a healthy baby.
Jack grinned at me, his eyes gleaming as he looked down on me. Sweat dripped from my forehead.
It's going to be tough for you to raise a kid alone, so I'll take care of it for you.
Jack snatched my baby from my arms as he spoke. I reached out desperately to grab my child back, but my hands only grasped empty air.
Hey, did you really think I'd give the kid back for nothing? Sure, you gave birth to him, but I'm the father, right? That means I have just as much right to be with him as you do. If you really want him back, then pay up. Money.
Jack had sunk to a new low. I remembered overhearing Ashley and a nurse talking about the delivery costs. She was asking if they could pay in installments, so they probably didn't even have enough money for that. How irresponsible. Why should I pay you anything? There's no way I'm spending money on you and your mess. Now, give me back my baby. But Jack just kept grinning and shook his head.
No, then I'll take custody of him. That way, you'll have to pay me child support.
I was so angry I couldn't even speak. I never thought he'd be so unreasonable. Of course I don't want to either. Are you trying to control me? Just because you're struggling financially doesn't mean you should drag the child into it. That's exactly why I'm saying you can't be trusted as a father, or even as a person. I reached for my child again, but as Jack turned his body, my hand once again grasped nothing but air.
Come on, aren't you supposed to be a mother? And you can't even pay for your kid? That makes you a pretty bad mother, don't you think? Clearly, you're not fit to raise him.
My baby started crying, probably from all the shouting. Jack looked at him with annoyance, sighing as if he was already fed up.
See, even the kid knows he doesn't want someone like you as a mother. He'd be better off with Ashley because she's already got experience, after all.
As Jack said this, he handed my child over to Ashley. Ashley, grinning, reached out to take the child. Suddenly, a wave of disgust swept over me, and I pulled out my phone. Ashley may have experience with raising kids, but can you love a child even if it's not your own, Jack? Ashley's eyes widened, and Jack froze with a shocked expression. You probably heard this from Ashley, but I was in the hospital bed next to hers. She was on the phone all day, every day. And the day I went into labor, some strange man came to visit her. Ashley turned pale, trembling slightly. Jack, still unconvinced, glared down at me. At first, I thought he might be her brother or something, but then I overheard their conversation and realized I was wrong. No brother would ask, "Is our kid doing okay over there?" Jack snapped his head toward Ashley, glaring at her. Ashley avoided his gaze, clearly panicking. And then she said, "I'm really looking forward to the birth of our child. So, yeah, it's pretty clear what's going on. Don't try to tell me this is all just some joke, right?" The air around us was icy cold, the tension palpable. This is what they mean by a ticking time bomb.
Ashley, tell me this is a joke, right? You were just messing around with a guy friend, right?
When Jack muttered, Ashley nodded quickly, looking nervous. It seemed like she was going to stick to the story that they were just acquaintances. But from what I heard, their conversation was anything but innocent. Anyone who listened would immediately suspect cheating or worse. It's fine if you don't believe me, but I took a picture of the guy, just in case. You can decide whether to look at it or not, I said as I scrolled through my phone. Jack reached out toward me.
If you're going this far, show me. But if it's a lie, you'll regret it.
Regret what? I thought as I pulled up the photo of the man. The moment Jack saw it, his face turned beet red, and he started shouting furiously.
That's my best friend, the guy who introduced me to Ashley.
He glared at Ashley, screaming at her. Oh, so the guy who introduced you to Ashley is the same guy she's been sleeping with. Let me guess, he's unemployed, right? Jack stammered, struggling to find words. It was clear I had hit the nail on the head. So, he's been living off you because he can't hold down a job, and all the kids are his, too. How does that feel, Jack? How about you, Ashley? I can't even begin to understand it. It was something I truly couldn't accept, so I gave them both a cold stare. Ashley's face had gone completely pale, and it looked like she couldn't speak at all.
What the hell is going on, Ashley? Tell me the truth. Have you been lying to me this whole time like Rachel said? Did you just think of me as an ATM?
Jack marched toward Ashley, his face furious. Ashley shook her head weakly, stepping back with each of his steps. I took my child back from her arms, calming him as he cried, while glaring at the two of them. Why don't you two go sort this out? This doesn't concern me anymore. Oh, but I'll still be sending you the bills for alimony and child support, so be ready. Jack looked back at me furiously. The confidence in his eyes was completely gone.
I'm telling you, I can't afford alimony. And can't you see this isn't the time for that? I've been lied to this whole time.
He was waving his arms around, acting like he was the only victim here. Who was the one who betrayed who first? I don't know how long you've been with Ashley, but you had a kid together, or so you thought. Turns out that wasn't even your kid. But you still did what you did, didn't you? I don't care what you do with Ashley now, but you will take responsibility for me and my child. Jack's face turned pale, but he still glared at me.
I'm telling you, I don't have the money. Ashley said she couldn't handle things on her own, so I took a bunch of time off work. And now I'm off the promotion track. I can't do anything about it.
Jack yelled as if his frustration could solve anything. But none of it had anything to do with me. And why is that my problem? You chose this. You broke our marriage contract, so you should take responsibility. Oh, and Ashley, don't think you're getting off the hook. I'll be sending you the alimony bill too. Ashley's eyes widened in shock. Did you think you wouldn't have to pay? Of course you do. You knew I was married, yet you still got involved with Jack. You'll be taking responsibility too. I thought Jack might protect her, but he didn't. The look he gave Ashley was cold, with no intention of helping her.
This is all such a mess. Why did this happen? Was it because I met Ashley through him?
Jack mumbled regretfully, his brows furrowed. There's no point in saying that now. I don't know, and I don't care. This is your problem to deal with now. I want no part of it anymore. I'm leaving. With that, I got into the taxi I had waiting and headed back to my apartment. About a month had passed. One day, while I was caught up in the chaos of taking care of my child, I received a call from an unknown number. I answered it, only to hear Jack's pathetic voice on the other end.
Hey, please, Rachel. I've broken up with Ashley. Can we get back together? I want to be with my child, and I want to be with you. You understand how a child feels without parents, right?
I wasn't sure if he'd changed his number or if he was calling from a work phone, but it didn't matter. I had no intention of getting back together with him. Why would anyone want to get back with a known cheater? And didn't you say on the day of the divorce that you never even thought of me as family? I hate how you keep changing your story all the time. Don't ever call me again. I coldly shut him down, but Jack didn't give up.
All right, fine. Then at least let me see my kid every now and then. We could grab a meal together or go out, all three of us.
What are you even talking about? How many times do I have to say it? Don't ever show your face again. And you barely pay any child support, so don't act like you're entitled to anything. The only reason you want to get back together is because your life is miserable now, right? By the way, I'm actually happy without you. Mainly because I don't have to see Karen's face anymore.
Wait, why are you saying something so harsh? Mom was hoping you'd come back too. I thought you two were close.
Jack clearly had some major misunderstanding. I probably wouldn't deal with him again after this, but I figured I'd correct him one last time. I've never been close with Karen. She kept nagging me about not having kids and called me useless at housework. I'm relieved to be out of that houses. Jack fell silent, unable to respond. I had nothing else to say to him at that point. So don't try to get involved in my life anymore. I won't let you ruin my life again. I said that and finally hung up for good. That same day, I went to the phone store and changed my number. Though I was on maternity leave and not at work, Jack apparently came by the office once to look for me. They turned him away, of course, and even told me I could work from home moving forward. Since I'd already been able to work remotely, I decided to take them up on that offer. With the support of so many people, I've been able to spend time with my child and live my life. I've been getting advice from people on social media, and I'm determined to keep doing my best.